How do we, as Black people, reconcile the roller coaster of Kamala Harris with the brutal murder of Sonya Massey all in the same week? What do these events teach us about Black people and our relationship to the institutional American state? And how do we hold the tension of the aspirations that Kamala Harris represents with the reality that she is a law enforcement officer? I'm so glad you asked because we are talking about it after the break.
Brokers, welcome to another episode of Brokish, where we talk about the unbelievable ish this country has done to keep us broke. Now here are your hosts, Amber and Erika.
Hello, brokers. I'm Amber.
And I'm Erika.
And today on Brokish, we are talking about the roller coaster ride of Black America, y'all.
Amber, I feel like we're already starting out and me and you not on the same ride. I think we might, because you started off by talking about the high of Kamala Harris. Like we gonna get into that, but I already don't know what you mean. What high that she might be? That okay, we'll talk about it. But
Yeah.
what
Let's
have
talk
you
about
been
it later.
what have you been up to? And you have to tell the brokers about what you did recently that is kind of related to Kamala Harris. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, are you talking about Boulay?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, y'all, this lady is so messy. I mean, because we literally in the same sorority. But anyway, let me talk about what I've been up to. Because as y'all can see, y'all see this tan. It's giving Wakanda forever. It's giving God's favorite Werther's drop. So I just got back from vacation. Praise the Lord. And it was lovely. I actually had a vacation this year. I actually had fun on vacation. Normally, my kids and my man stress me out. I had just got back and I had a great time this year. Thank you, Jesus. I also had an opportunity right before vacation to attend the 71st or 72nd National
I don't
Convention.
know. I wasn't there. You'll have to tell me.
I went to the Alpha Kappa Alpha National Convention, and unfortunately, I did miss the day where our new.
Unfortunately, that's what you meant to say. I'm trying. Sometimes
I
I can
missed
hear
it.
good.
Listen, I would have. I don't mind hearing what nobody got to say. Okay, I hate that I missed hearing what that lady had to say. I do. Because I had to leave for my vacation, but I did attend the Alpha Kappa Alpha National Convention here in Dallas, and I got to see some lovely faces. You know,
How
I
much it
love
cost
to.
you to go, Amber? How much that ticket?
Don't do that. I don't need to
How
talk
much?
about the cost.
Okay.
But what I do want to talk about is, because Erica is substantially older than me, and she has already reached her 25-year milestone in the sorority. I will be 20
28.
years
28.
20
Get it
years
together.
in Alpha Kappa Alpha this fall. So it was cool to be there in the year that I will turn 20 in the sorority. And I got to see some of my
Oh,
big sisters who brought me in and some other people that I love dearly. So I had a good time. I've been living my best life.
just a bougie fest, and you loved it. It was great, right?
You know, listen, I like a good bougie event. And there's only one person on this call right now who will acknowledge that. But yes, I don't lie to the people. I like me a little bougie event. I do.
Wow, wow.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
Amber, I mean, I feel like you might be complex. I mean, you are an AKA, you're a lawyer, you went to undergrad in DC. Like I feel like you might be her in some respects. That's awesome. I love that. I love that.
Listen, y'all, I am growing in Christ. Because I am going to turn the other cheek in Jesus' name and just ask Erica what she has been up to. Um, because Lisa Stansfield over here been around the world and now yeah. Okay. Oh, tell them who you met too.
What do you mean who I met? My
You
sociological crush that I met?
yes.
I did. I did. I think I might have told y'all that I went to a conference, an academic conference in Ireland. So I wasn't gallivanting around the world on vacation. I was doing serious academic work. So I found out that Tressie McMillan Cotton was going to be one of the keynote speakers, and she is my sociological crush. Love Tressie. So I did get to look at the hearts.
Oh my gosh. It's
Look at the favor, the uncommon favor. So I did get to meet her, and she doesn't even know, but she told me I was doing a great job. So I believe I'm doing a great job because Tressie told me so. So yeah, but other than that, but that I got back a long time ago. It seems like now I haven't been doing anything except I have to do. So I might be telling y'all things you know, but I didn't know. So forgive me. But when you are doing your PhD, they have these different milestones you have to meet before you can start writing your dissertation, right? So one of them is like finishing your coursework, and then depending on the program that you're in, you have like a qualifying paper or exam. So I have to do my qualifying paper. So I'm actually knee deep in writing my qualifying paper. So I haven't been able to do anything fun. Everybody around me is doing fun things, and I'm just sitting here writing and reading. So yeah.
well,
I know.
that's the price you pay for being smarter than everybody else.
No, no, it's not. But I will tell you that one of the benefits of me being around here writing and reading means that I have not been on social media like I normally would have. Because, I do spend quite a bit of time on Twitter. I cannot lie. And because of that, I did not actually, until within the past 24 hours, I didn't even consume a full news story about Sonya Massey because I was really trying not to do that. I'd seen some headlines and I had heard some people talking about some things, and y'all even mentioned it in the group chat. And I just was like, not ready to consume that media. But we actually are coming to you all with this topic, not that we wouldn't have been talking about something like this, but we got stood up. And so I know, right? Somebody asked us to be on our show and then stood us up. Not the point. So we were talking about what made sense for us to talk about. And it just seems like there isn't another thing that makes more sense for us to talk about than the juxtaposition of the murder of Sonia Massey and sort of the elevation of Kamala Harris, as she is probably soon to be the Democratic nominee for president of the United States. So yeah, so that's what got us here. And as we sort of think about the connection to the larger brokish theme and the broken systems, in my mind, there are so many, right? Like, I think in many ways we are talking about imperialism. We'll talk about that more. And in some ways, we're talking about, of course, an unjust criminal system. We are talking about representation and the limits of representation. So I think there are a lot of interesting things for us to talk about. But Amber, if you don't mind, could you just sort of give us sort of the facts of the case as you understand them to sort of level set for people who have not yet heard the details?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really tragic case. Sonia Massey was a 36-year-old woman. We don't exactly know why, but at some point she was home. I believe she lives in St. Louis, or she lived in St. Louis, and she was under the impression that somebody had broken into her home, and she called the police and filed a report and asked for them to come out because she was concerned that there was an intruder. When they arrived at her home, according to the body cam footage, the first thing she did was identify herself and say, "Don't hurt me." By all accounts, it seems like the police were very clear that she was the complaining victim because they asked her rhetorically, "Why would we hurt you?" I think we can all infer, read between the lines, that because it was nighttime, there was some attempt by her to put on additional clothing to feel comfortable. Obviously, her house was probably a darker than normal. But at some point, they end up in her kitchen and there is water on the stove. And she identifies that there is water on the stove. And for whatever reason, because there's nothing on the footage that I've seen or on any of the things that I've read or reviewed that give any indication that the encounter between Miss Massey and the police devolved. by all accounts, this had been a very normal, amicable encounter where the police knew who she was and she knew who they were. I'm not sure if something happened. I'm not sure what, but at some point we hear her say, "Rebuke you in the name of Jesus."
Well, before that, Amber, so a
Okay,
couple
yeah.
things, just a couple things to make sure that we're clear on some things. She was in Springfield, Illinois. Doesn't
Okay,
matter, just
yes,
that's where she was. But they actually asked her to turn the pot off because the water was
correct.
boiling. So they asked her to do that. So she was on the couch. She didn't just go into the kitchen without, that was under their order.
Yes. And then the officer starts saying or referencing her throwing the water or doing something with the water again without any basis in fact. And he tells her that he will shoot her in the head. And then he
Face.
proceeds. Yes, he says in the
Mhm,
effing face. That's exactly what
mhm.
he said.
I'm gonna
And then
effing
he
shoot you in the effing face.
that's exactly right. And then he shoots her in the face. And the other officer, this was the part to me because I didn't watch the whole video at first, and I deeply regret I did. He says he's gonna go try to get help, and the officer says, "Bro, like she's done, like she's a steak or like a piece of meat." He literally said, he says, "What for? She's done." And now the
Because
officer
they didn't
is
want to
being
waste their medical kit. Because like, oh, I don't want to waste the medical kit.
yeah, yeah. I mean, because why would we even try to verify or go get a first responder to try to offer medical assistance? But the officer has been charged with first degree murder, and
So a couple of other things to Amber. So the officer who shot her is somebody named Grayson. I can't remember last name Grayson. I can't remember the name of the officer who was accompanying him. Um, the accompanying officer is the one who, when he got to the scene, apparently turned his body cam on.
he
Grayson, the shooter, did not turn his body cam on until after he had already shot at Miss Massey. Was it three times? I think there were three shots that were
there
made.
were 3 shots fired. Yes,
So after he shot her the three times, then he turns on his body cam and he starts referencing the fact that he didn't want to get hurt by the boiling water, is what he talks about. So he didn't even have his body cam on, but he had the awareness after he shot to then turn his body cam on. And
mm-hmm, yes, and also, ironically, Officer Grayson has also himself been arrested multiple times. And miraculously, he has managed to be arrested and brought into custody multiple times by the police without suffering any serious bodily injury or death.
right. And to add to that, it's interesting that not only has he been arrested, but he was able to maintain until now his law enforcement status, right? His licensure, whatever licensure you need in the state of
It is a
Illinois to be a
license.
law
That's
enforcement
exactly right.
officer. He, despite two DWIs or DUIs, I think maybe in 2015, 2016, he managed to still be able to get jobs at four different police departments in the state of Illinois. I think all in the state of Illinois.
Hmm.
So, despite his criminal past, and he's still been able to move around and get other jobs. And then went into her house and decided he would kill her because she said that she rebuked him. And clearly there was a spirit to rebuke, but yeah, he shot her for it.
Yeah. And you know what I can't help but shake is that nobody responds to being rebuked but the devil. Okay? That's the only person who responds to it is the devil. And
Mhm.
yeah. And it what initially happened is that um the news came out that Sonya Massey had been killed, and then very quickly was overshadowed by Joe
Oh,
Biden.
sorry, one thing before
No, no,
we go
no.
on
Go
that, because I
ahead.
don't
Go
want to
ahead.
forget. Um, her father talks about how when he learned of her death, he assumed her death was from whoever the prowler was by her home. The police never told him that the officer killed his daughter. They left that for him to find out. So he's under the assumption that somebody broke into my daughter's house and shot her when it was the police, and they did not tell that man that.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that part. Um, that's
Yes.
that's terrible. That's
So
terrible.
all of this is happening, right? So this news about Sonya Massey is happening, and of course, everybody is outraged. Your favorite civil rights attorney, for better or worse, Ben Crump, is on the case, right? Um, he's there, and so all of this stuff is happening, and then at the same time,
Yeah. The news is quickly and thank God temporarily overshadowed by the announcement that came out. I believe it was 2 days later that Joe Biden was dropping out of the race, and he was endorsing his former vice president to ascend to the top of the ticket as the Democratic nominee for president of the United States. And then,
how did you feel about, like, when you heard that? How did you feel about
so to be honest, when I first heard it, because it was a notification that popped on my phone from Twitter, and so I watch Real Housewives. So the person who I
that?
saw posted it first was an account called Melissa's Old Nose, which is a reference to Melissa Gorga from the Real Housewives of New Jersey. So I didn't believe it. I thought it was some type of,
Well, Melissa's old nose got a lie.
listen, because it's primarily a gossip account, and so whenever like Melissa's Old Nose pops up, it's usually like housewife drama, whatever. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, this must be some kind of spoof or some type of. And then Delina posted it in the group chat, and then that's when I went and opened it on Twitter and I saw it, and I was just like, oh snap! I was surprised, and I really didn't have a response, to be honest. I really didn't have a response. Just shock.
So you weren't like, you were indifferent. You weren't excited. You weren't mad. You weren't like, you were just like,
I was just like, wow. I was
yeah. I was
like, wow.
shocked too, because I was convinced that he was just gonna ride it till the wheels fell off. Like, I was convinced that
So was
there was
I.
not gonna be any pulling out. Like, I didn't know he had a pull-out game. I guess he does, because he said, I'm out of there. So I was just like, wow. And I think the thing that was interesting to me is that he endorsed Kamala so quickly, because I also thought, I was like, if he ever does pull out, I just feel like, because I felt in the ethos that they didn't want her, that he wouldn't endorse her. So it was interesting to me that that all happened like in quick succession.
I've always felt like the reason why he broke his campaign promise to be a one-term president was because the elephant in the room was that there was not enough consensus around the party supporting Kamala at the top of the ticket. And they did not want to have to explain why, because there would have been no explanation that they could have given when asked why she wasn't at the top of the ticket, that would have made any logical sense, particularly to their happy fan base, the Negroes. So I have always felt like that was the elephant in the room, because he he said it clear as day that he was only going to run for one term.
See, I don't even remember that. He said that?
Multiple times that he was going to be a
Okay.
one-term president. Multiple times.
Girl, I don't
Because
follow the man.
remember their both of their age, him and Trump, their age was an issue in the election in 2020, that people were like, yo, we got these almost octogenarians, and Joe Biden made it very clear he only intended to be a one-term president. He said it.
Well, there you go. Look at him keeping promises at the end.
I mean, if that's what you want to call it.
So, of course, Amber, as soon as, because we are both AKAs, so as soon as Joe Biden endorsed Kamala Harris, what happens? I start getting messages in my group chat from all the sources, like, we having the call. Everybody try to get on this. Now, first of all, just I want y'all to know, Erika not joining those Zooms. I'm not jumping on no calls. I'm not doing that. And in fact, I know that I'm gonna have to mute all group chats that are related to AKA because they're going to be insufferable and I cannot handle it. But everybody's like, get on the Zoom. So I have all my lines. So everybody I can't get on the Zoom. It said at that capacity. Well, I can't get on the Zoom. Somebody sent me a new Zoom link, and here's the new Zoom link. And everybody's in a flurry, right? Trying to get on there and mobilizing, as they say, right? And I mean, it did happen fast. So, like, the messages went out and everybody jumped on the Zoom. And then the next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, look at all these Black women on Zoom. And they collected all this money. They collected $1 million in 4 hours or whatever it was, 1.5 million.
3 million. Yeah.
Okay.
Give them their props.
Right. And it was 40,000. And, you know, because I'm me, I'm like, y'all. If this doesn't signal, to me, this signals that how little we have. Because if it takes 40,000 of y'all to get to $1 million and like everybody is excited, when that same day Kamala raised like $85 million and it didn't have shit to do with y'all. Like, you see how the money don't match up? Like, that's the thing that occurred to me is I'm like, y'all, $1 million is not a lot of money, and we're so excited that 40,000 people raised it. But anyway, that's my little commentary about it. But how was your experience being an AKA and hearing this news?
Well, it was the same, but I am not currently stuck in the house writing a paper. So I was at the Busta Rhymes and Missy Elliott concert, so I wasn't able to join the Zoom.
You still have money for that after you pay for Boulay? Okay, keep going. I'm listening.
Those tickets were purchased in advance of Boulay. But anyway, yeah. So I was at the concert, but my group chats were lighting up. Social media was lighting up. You know, they had already come out with the picture. I am one of the 44,000. I am one of the, and I'm thinking like, damn, I had a little FOMO. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm like, I'm sitting here like, you know, I'm over here with Bus, like, don't this shit make my people want to jump? But you know, I'm trying to be in the 44,000 and get my freak on, but you know, I wasn't able to do it.
Why do you want to be in the 44,000? Go ahead.
Because listen, I feel like I am not nearly as evolved as you. I am very much, I still do highly Negro things. Like, I'm nosy. It's like, well, what happened? I want to be there. Like, I want to be there with all the Black women too. Like, oh my gosh. I listen. I don't deny I have basic tendencies. It is what it is, and I accept myself for who I am. So yes, there was a part of me that was disappointed that I was not there. But I will say though that I immediately started down the path of a cynicism about the whole situation. Like, they finna hang this lady out to dry. This is about to be what happens in corporate America all day, every day, where the shit hits the fan. They tell us to come in and expect us to be a savior. We're under resourced. We're set up to fail with no framework for success or no support. And then we're scapegoated when it doesn't go in the way they hope. And so my mind kind of went to that scenario. Like, I hate to see her set up in that way to take the fall.
Is that a setup? Huh? That this woman is getting the opportunity to do what she has, it appears, has always wanted to do. Is that a setup?
No, I mean, no, it's not. But I mean, being somebody's sloppy seconds on a public stage is.
You are the vice president. Like, you the job you have is sloppy seconds. Like, that's how you start this thing off. Like, so I don't understand why now that this to me seems like Kamala's only real chance to actually be president. Like, it seems in my mind that she is thrilled because there is no other way. There is no other path that I can imagine that would have had her on it as the nominee for president, but this.
I agree with all of that. I still say watching it though is cringy. I'm not talking
Watching a
about
woman get a job that she wants is cringy. What?
no, watching her, you know, watching her
No,
be
I don't know.
watching her be the second best for these people that very clearly didn't want her. I just to me it wasn't a
Amber,
pleasant thing to watch.
that can't be that can't be it for you. Like, please tell me that's not it for you.
Well,
Eh,
listen, I'm not saying I feel sympathy for her. I'm just saying I feel like we've all seen this movie before. All I'm saying is, you know, looking at somebody who 6 months ago they would not even speak of as a viable candidate. They would not even acknowledge why they were supporting an 82-year-old man. And then watching her step up, even willingly, to take the fall for these same people who were very happy to not acknowledge what was clearly in the background the whole time, which is that we don't think they will vote for you. So we're going to support him.
well, we're not gonna vote for you. Like,
Well, yes, we are. You
no,
might
what
not.
I'm saying, no. What I'm saying is
Oh,
the establishment was not going to vote for her. Like,
yes, and I'm just saying, just seeing her set up to take the fall for them just left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not saying she's not complicit. I mean, we all know she's complicit. I'm just saying it left a bad taste in my mouth. That's all. Cause
it don't leave
I
no
don't
bad taste
like,
in my mouth because
I
she
don't
getting
like
what
seeing.
she wanted. Like, I don't even know why it could leave a bad taste when this lady is literally getting the job that she wanted. Like, she ran. Like, you remember she ran, right? So it's not like we didn't even know she had that aspiration to be president. The heifer ran. So we know that she, at least on paper, had that aspiration. She getting what she wanted. I don't feel bad about that at all. I feel
I
that
mean, I see, I understand how you feel that way. I still just hate when we become the face of their bad decisions. Like I just hate it. I hate it.
she is already the face of empire, Amber. Do you hate that? Can you hate that?
Well, yes, I hate that too. But what I'm saying is, what happens when we become the scapegoat is we start talking about us as the scapegoat and not why we need to tear down the empire. Because then it becomes, well, there's nothing wrong with the empire. The problem is that we try to put the empire in the hand of a black person, which is the same conversation that the white people were having when Barack Obama was president. Everything that happened that went wrong was not because we have put into place this corrupt system. It's because the black man did it. It's the black man's fault. The black man did it. The black man did it. And I'm just saying, I
Well,
hate
did the
that
black
that's
man
such
do it? Like,
now listen.
he
We
don't
can
have
have
no complicity.
we can have a whole lot of conversations about Barack Obama, but
He
we
don't have
not
no
gonna pretend
complicity.
Barack. I'm not saying he's not complicit, but Barack Obama. Have you ever been to the pediatrician with your doctor, and you watch that little bad, usually white boy go into like the play area and like make a mess of it, and then when your kids come to sit down and play, the parents that come in after you kind of like look at you like
I'm
your
not talking
kids
about the
make.
2008 crisis. I'm not talking about
So
him
all
picking up
I'm
the pieces
saying
of that.
is,
Yeah, I'm not talking
okay,
about
so that's all I'm saying is I feel like Barack Obama was the kid that came to the pediatrician after the little bad white boy destroyed the playroom. So I'm not saying he's not complicit. What I'm saying is the black man was not an accurate that was not a fully and complete accurate description of what went down. That's all I'm saying.
that. Okay. So,
And I'm not saying
see,
he don't get his fair share of blame. But girl, like if you whenever you talk about Barack Obama, like I'm sorry, you got to start with George Bush. You do. Like they are bedfellows.
okay. We gonna leave Barack Obama to the side because again, I'm not mad if they blame the person that's in a position that they wanted to be in. I'm not mad because there are lots of things that that man did that didn't have nothing to do with George Bush. Like, it just didn't. And
Yes,
so
but
I can't let.
that's where what we're saying is different because they don't blame the man. They blame the black man. So instead of it being these are my issues with George Bush, these are my issues with Bill Clinton, these are my issues with Lyndon B. Johnson as individual presidents, when black people have these positions, they become proxies for all of us. And so what I'm saying is that's why it annoys me because it doesn't become let us talk about the ways that Barack Obama was complicit. It becomes black. Black as a proxy and a placeholder for us as being the problem. And that is why I don't like when we are scapegoated, because unlike when there are white people who are scapegoated, they do not have to stand as the proxy representation of all white people the same way we do when we get scapegoated.
Well, here's the other side of that coin, though. I feel like oftentimes we want to live vicariously through these people, right? My best friend bought T-shirts for the children. My VP looks like me. I was like, please don't buy my children that shirt. My children are wearing my VP looks like me shirt. But the point is, I think we want that, and so that brings us back to this point of like all of this vigor that I think is now around Kamala Harris and her potential nomination, right? So now there's all of this excitement, there's all of this money. Everybody's like, oh, we haven't felt this way since Barack Obama. Like all of this is happening, and everybody is like, maybe she really can do it. Not everybody got a damn call, right? We got the Indians for Kamala, they got a call. We got the white women for Kamala, they got a call. I saw a call black gay men for Kamala because the straight men, of course, homophobic. So then the black gay men got to have their own call. The black men have everybody got a call for Kamala, right? All the activity, all the money, all the things. And I'm just like, y'all, if we're taking it back to Sonya Massey, I just don't understand why we have all of this excitement about someone who is currently vice president of an administration that is actively funding a genocide. And that even when we have Netanyahu in DC, that even though she's like, I'm not going to go when
I'm
he's in
not gonna
Congress giving
go.
his
Yeah.
speech, but we're gonna have a separate secret meeting, right? A separate meeting that's off the books or on the books, whatever it is. So even when there was like a 2 minute span when I was like, maybe I could vote for Kamala if she moves on Israel, like as a show of good faith. Maybe that's something that I could, concede to. But then I'm like, Kamala don't plan that concession. And so then I am back to this idea of the representation. Yes, people might say she's a DEI hire and they might want to blame all Black people. But are we also not fanning those flames by being so excited for her just because she's Black, just because she's an AKA, just because she went to Howard? Like we're doing the same bullshit.
I don't think you're wrong. I think where people struggle is that we have conflated representation with um like revolution. And I think that we consider as a people um the presence of us in these powerful places as in and of itself revolutionary,
When we gonna
and
stop
not
that?
just, well, I think we've been taught that. I do. I think we have been taught that, and I don't think we've just been taught that by white America. I think we've been taught that by Black America. I think that probably one of the greatest gaffes of the civil rights movement was this idea that representation was an ideal or an aspiration of the movement. Um, and so I do think that that is a place where we are going to have to do our own work to recognize that somebody being a representative of a corrupt state or of an unjust entity is not revolutionary. It's just a Black person being the face of
Doing
the
the master's
organization.
bidding.
Right. I also think that it's really hard in times like this to have that conversation because people who try to have it feel like a killjoy. And I also think that there are people who have decided, and I do think this is part of it that is valid for me, but only to a small degree, that the stakes are so high on the other side that as an act of survival, not as an act of support, this is the person who we should be putting our energy and our effort behind helping to get them elected.
And
And
but
I
I
don't
get
think
it.
that's
Why do we want to do
invalid.
that why do we want to do that when she is just going to be a continuation of the current administration? Like the current, are we saying that the current administration is okay with us, that we're fine with this? Like, what are we saying with that?
What I think, well, I think that those are two questions. I think that for most people, based on what they know and perceive about politics, they feel like Joe Biden has had a successful domestic presidency. I think people are eating that up hook, line, and sinker. And I think that for the average person, that is the goal, to have a continuation of what they perceive as successful for 4 more years, and to stop what they perceive is a direct existential threat to them with this whole thing about Project 25, with Donald Trump, with what we know he wants to do. Yes, I think that's exactly correct.
So here's the part where I think we often get it wrong. And I, of course, been guilty of this too. And this is absolutely one of those areas where I think my viewpoints are different, is that there is no real thing that is domestic versus foreign policy, right? There is U.S. policy. There is not a domestic policy. So the part that really makes me sad is that the same administration that can provide funding and weapons to the Israeli Defense Fund, the same administration that can do that is the same administration that can provide funding and weapons to cop cities all around this country, right? The same administration that can pay for increased surveillance and policing is the same administration where a Sonya Massey can be murdered in her home. Like, so there is no over there and here. We live in an internal colony, right? They live in a settler colony. It is all the same, and we are all the same. And so that's the part that I'm having a really hard time with, is how people are teasing out the differences that I don't think really exist.
No, I think that's fair. I think the problem is that we have settled in a survivor mindset. So even your favorite, did you read Trusty's article, Kamala or Bust?
Don't don't ruin this for me. Do not ruin her for me.
I'm not trying to ruin it for you. I'm not trying to ruin it for you. What I'm
Did
saying
she really
is,
write?
it's called
She didn't get
Kamala or
to.
Bust.
She
I
didn't
put
get
it
to
in the
pick
group
the
chat.
lead. She didn't get to pick the lead for the article. You know that the writers don't get to pick the leads.
Okay, girl. Well, listen. It's just her name as the author. AI wrote it. Okay, that's what we'll say. But I explained to somebody the other day that I feel like the choices we have right now between Trump and Kamala Harris are like somebody being asked if they were intoxicated and in a bar fight, whether they want to fight somebody who had an AK-47 or somebody who had a pocket knife. And I feel like probably all of us would agree we'd rather fight the person with a pocket knife. I said, and I feel like that is the choice between Harris and Trump. One person is trying to kill us with an AK-47, and one person got a pocket knife. What I think is the problem for us as a people and for a lot of people is that what gets lost in this is that both people are still trying to kill you. And so, even as you choose which fight you would prefer to be in, because you're trying to figure out which place do I have the most likelihood of survival, I don't think that's a bad analysis. What I think is that the problem is that that's where we stop. So then that can't be where we stop. So, yes, I have to survive for the next 4 years, and I need to make a choice that puts me in the best position to survive. But then once I make that choice, what are we doing after that? And that is the part of this that I feel like gets lost. And that's why we have a Sonya Massey after we had, you know, a Tatiana Jefferson, after we had Botham
Yeah,
John, after we had all, yes, after we had all of these people. That's why we keep having them, because once we make a decision based on what do we need to do to survive in this moment, we stop having the conversation until another 4 years.
but yes, that is true, Amber. But this is the part where I don't understand. Even if I accept your analysis, your analogy, which I'm not quite on board with, but okay, let's say I accept that. The why are people so eager to support the person that is still trying to kill them? Like, not only is it, I'm just casting a vote, I'm holding my nose, I'm casting a vote for Kamala, I don't really want to do it, she's still the face of empire. But it is not that. It is, I am joining Zoom calls that are 3 and 4 hours long. It is, I'm going to Canvas. It is, I'm going to donate my money. It is, I'm going to donate my time. So that is different. That's why I feel like the analogy doesn't work, because
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. But I think that's what we have been gaslit to do, is to celebrate that we're not trying to survive against the person who's trying to kill us with an AK-47, and consider it a flex that we're only dealing with a person trying to kill us with a pocket knife. And that is the problem. So I agree with you completely. And I do think that that is why we get stuck in this cycle. And I think that's why the Democratic Party ain't shit, because they capitalize on that cycle. They're the ones who bring it up every 4 years. Like, look, they got an AK-47. They coming at your neck. They're trying to kill you. But then nobody ever talks about the fact that, well, y'all got a knife. So you're trying to kill me too. I just have a little bit better chance of fighting you because I don't got no weapon. I don't have no weapon to fight back. So I am literally fighting for my life with nothing but the good Lord. And so that's why I feel like, yes, vote. But at some point we have to start talking about, after we vote, when do we go burn this shit down and start over?
so we're not gonna agree on this. That's fine. Me and you're not gonna agree. But this is the other thing that I have a hard time with. A lot of people talk about what our ancestors did, right? Our ancestors died for the freedom and the right to vote, right? That's what people say. Our ancestors died for the right, the freedom to vote. My question is, if I cast my vote under duress, which is what y'all are asking me to do, y'all are asking me to vote for Kamala because she is the lesser of the two evils. Is that a freedom? Like, you are an attorney, Amber. You know that when people do things under duress, that is not a freedom. So why are we acting like, I need us to interrogate what the vote means. So if the vote is supposed to be one of the things that we use for liberation, and I'm not able to freely do that, like, how is it going to bring about my liberation? And is it freedom?
No, I mean, well, first of all, I don't think that duress is the right word. I mean, because other black people telling you you
It's
need to
not.
vote, I
No,
don't think that's
people telling me this is a life or death situation. This is not like they're saying you do this or you're the enemy. That's that's what that's what's happening.
yeah. I mean, I guess I don't. I mean, I guess maybe because I know what the legal definition of duress is. I don't think that's duress, but
Okay, can we call it coercion?
yes, influence and
Okay,
coercion. I think that's fair.
okay.
What I will say though is
Is that freedom for
there
me
is
if I have to vote under those circumstances?
um I think that I don't think that it's not freedom, but I do think that the pressure is relevant. I do think that the societal pressure that we exert on each other to vote, and to vote in a particular way, I do think it's relevant, and I do think it matters. I don't think it is something that, like, ipso facto takes away your freedom. No, I don't think that. But I don't think it's irrelevant. It's true. And what you're talking about is why black people be voting Democratic every cycle. So I'm not saying it don't matter. I'm just saying I don't think it means that we're not free. But what I do think is that we need a lot of education around these issues, about what we should be demanding, about what we should be asking for, and about how we should leverage the value of our support. Because I don't think the flex is support Kamala because she's black. I think the real flex is, once we get in here, the same way they got a Project 2025, like, we need to sit down somewhere and talk about defunding the police. We need to be talking about expanding
You
and
want
protecting.
Kamala to You Kamala that's gonna be with Benjamin Netanyahu? This is where it becomes very unserious. This is how I know you playing in my face, Amber. This is how.
I didn't say Kamala. I said think tank, Project 2025. I didn't. Now you have to remember. Now remember let's talk about exactly what happened with Project 2025. No administration did that. that was a group of people
You're
who
right.
went and made their list of demands and then took it to the people they support and said, and they leveraged the value of their support and said, this is the agenda we want you to get behind. And what I'm saying is that I don't see anything wrong with using your vote as leverage to put
Of
somebody in
course.
power that you think is going to take your demands and say, "Hey, this is what we want, and if you want us to keep supporting you, this is what we want." I mean, because that's the same thing that black people did to LBJ. Baby, you done got abandoned. We all you got. And if you want to do anything or get anything done, this is what we want. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm
Yes,
saying.
but Amber, when somebody who has been voting for president, has been voting third party, right? When I go and I tell somebody when I'm at a barbecue, because I don't be at dinner parties like you, right? When I'm at a barbecue and politics comes up and I talk about I'm voting third party, then it's all like a third party vote is a vote for Trump. And it's like, but I thought politics was about political alignments and I thought it was about political demands. So not only am I being coerced into a vote for the lesser of two evils, that I'm also being demonized because I want to vote with somebody whose interests are aligned with my own.
Well, first of all, Erica, I think that you got way too much education. You know that's some bullshit, respectfully. Like this whole idea of, and then you can do it. You can do it if you want to do it. You can vote third party, and you can pretend like you don't know that this system was built, first of all, already with diluting your vote in the cake. The intention right out the gate was to dilute your vote. It was the system was set up so that you would have less influence and less power as an individual voter. So you already know that. So coming out, you already know that your dollar don't got 100 pennies in
So
it.
coming out, I already know that my vote don't matter, is what you're saying. But keep going.
So what I'm saying though is what I'm saying to you is you know what people mean when they say that. And so yes, they're saying, oh, a vote for third party is a vote for Trump. Because as a practical matter, because we live in Texas, that's not all the way true, and it doesn't matter as much as if you lived in some other place, but you vote third party as an act of protest, but you know that's some bull garbage. You know that's some
I
bull garbage,
can't
and you
vote
know
third
that.
party because my political interests are more aligned with the third party candidate. That
But
can't be
Erica,
right.
you already know that your political interests are not going to come to fruition supporting a third party here in the United States. You already know that.
My hope, like if I have any hope, right? My hope is that eventually enough people will be like, I want to do this thing. And then there will be some critical mass where it makes sense. In the same way that 2 weeks ago, you couldn't have told me that Kamala was going to be in the position that Kamala is in because I'd have told you it was a damn lie. And I'd be like, it's never going to happen. They never going to oversee it.
But
So
Erica,
in that same
history,
way,
we've
I have a
already
foolish
seen this
hope.
movie. We've already seen this movie. When Roosevelt ran third party and won the ticket, they said the power brokers went back into the room and said, we can't never ever 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 let this happen again,
And
and
you know what
so
that
we
makes me
gotta
think?
fix this.
I don't have the freedom that y'all tell me I have. That's what that makes me think, Amber. That's what I
Well,
keep trying to
that's
explain to
true.
y'all. I don't have the freedom that y'all tell me I have in this country. And my vote don't mean shit like y'all tell me it does in this country. That's the part. Like I want y'all to say that out loud because you keep telling me that I have to vote. And when I do, when I exercise it, then you tell me I'm not doing the right way. So do I have the freedom? Don't I have the freedom? Can I do what the hell I want to do? Can I do what the hell I want to do? Which one is it?
I mean, it's C, all of the above. You got the freedom, you can do whatever you want to do, but you got to play the game until you can change the rules. I mean, and that's the problem is we play the game thinking we can change the rules inside of the game. But you got to get control of the game
That's
and then
what
be
you
like,
just said doing. You just said I'm gonna vote for Kamala. Basically, you suggested you can vote for Kamala, and then we're gonna get together on our political interests and we're gonna push her. That's the same thing. That's changing the game while you're playing it, Amber.
Yeah, but I'm talking about being clear though that that's the only path to burning it down. You unless you get unless you start your own Zoom and you get all the black people in the Zoom to agree that yes,
No, they got
let's
$3
just go
million.
have let's raise us another $1 million, let's burn it all down. That's not going to happen. And so you got to figure out how to get to revolution. I guess what I'm saying to you is we got a better chance of getting a revolution if we can leverage our power to get somebody in here who will at least hear us out on our demands. But otherwise, sis, what's the path to revolution? Voting third party for Jill Stein?
I didn't say that. I never said that. I don't believe the path of revolution is at the ballot box. Like, that's
Well,
first and foremost. I don't believe that that's where it lives.
I agree with that too. But what I believe is that you have to convince people that they need a revolution. And the only way you're going to convince them that they need a revolution is for somebody who they will listen to to support an agenda that gets us on that path. Because people right now think the revolution is the fact that Kamala's running. And that's what I'm saying to you. Like
They do.
they they think that's the
Representation is
revolution.
revolution. Representation is anti-revolutionary. That is what I have come to believe. That all of these people and all of these positions just desensitize folks and make people think, yes, to your point, that we are already there. And so when you think that you are already there, you're not trying to go nowhere else. And yes, that is a very big problem. And I don't know how you undo that. Because again, everybody that I know, every black woman that I know is going to use whatever little morsel of power she has to make sure that Kamala Harris is the next president of the United States of America.
Do you know how we do it? Because at some point, the black person that represents us has to say it out of their mouth. Representation is not revolution. But the problem is the people who
Who
are
would say
viable
that?
candidates. That's what I was about to say. The problem is that people who are viable candidates to represent us will never say that. But in my opinion, that's the only way the light bulb is going to go off for the masses. That representation and revolution are not the same thing. The the person who we rally behind is gonna have to say it.
Girl, so basically, I am left feeling, honestly, I think the ascension of Kamala Harris has me feeling more defeated because, again, I think that we become more desensitized. I think we put in just vast amounts of energy and money into her presidency, and we don't look to local issues like Sonya Massey being murdered in her home. And I don't mean this in the way that I've heard some people talk about it. Some people are like, oh my God, you have 40,000 black women who got together and they raised $1 million. Imagine what $1 million could do in the community. Well, first of all, I'm going to imagine that the 40,000 women weren't from the same community, right? So when you split the little $25 apart that they had, right, across this vast nation, that you're not talking about a lot of money to be able to support people in mutual aid efforts and other things like that. So that point is a little, I don't necessarily get that point. But I do just feel like defeated. I just feel defeated because I do not think that we can start to look at the issues that we do have in our communities. I don't think that we can start to think about what a revolution could be, what it looks like with her. And I think, and I never thought that would be like a trick that they played. And I don't know if they knew that that was going to happen. Like, I don't know how much of this is conscious and unconscious in terms of the power brokers, but her being the candidate to me is not good. I don't know what else. It's not good. Because we're not focusing on what really matters. We're only focused on Kamala. And that is terrible.
That's true. I think that's a non-unique harm because I don't think we were focusing on what really mattered before that. All we were talking about was, the very obvious, you know, caricature and morally bankrupt person Donald Trump is, and Joe Biden's gaps and,
Same.
his health. So I feel like there's never really been a time in our history where we've kept the main thing the main thing. So I don't think it's fair to make Kamala the face of that. I do think she's probably a more effective distraction in the moment, but I think that's a non-unique harm that was going to happen whether she was the face or not. Because we
But
ain't never been talking about the real issue.
no, but I think she mobilizes in a way that is harmful and would not have happened with other candidates. And you see that in 4 hour Zoom calls. Like, and I do think that those energy and that effort could be used in different ways. Not that it would have been, but could have been used in different ways. So I think there is a unique harm that she causes just by virtue of who she is. And she's the VP that looks like me, right?
So then, what do you think
I need to
we
change
do?
my hair too. I can't be having Kamala hair out here. I'm going back to curly. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, you got you. It's like you got this like Aaliyah Kamala thing going on. You know, like you want to be baby girl with the swoop, and then you want to be Kamala with the color. You know, I'm not mad at it though. Um, I like it, but I think the question we have to answer, I think the question that this episode really asks is, how do you get the everyday Black person to see the direct linear connection between Kamala Harris as the face of this imperial state and Sonya Massey being dead in Springfield, Illinois? How do you do that?
Mhm. Yep.
Because I don't know.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't know because what I thought, what I think is the best idea out of a bunch of crappy ones is pick the person who's trying to kill me with a knife, and then once we get to a place where we got a cool off, we need to try to figure out how to a stop being happy to support the person who's trying to kill us with a knife because they're not trying to kill us with an AKA 47, and
Not
then
an
figure
AKA
out.
47. A
Oh,
AK
my
47.
bad. I'm sorry, so Lord, AK 47. But then try to figure out what we do to shift from trying to survive this awful bar fight to trying to create a society where we can flourish. Um, but I don't know.
Girl, I hope y'all didn't come here for answers because you know me and Amber ain't got them. So
No, no, I don't know. I don't know, but
here
I
we did
just
not
feel
come.
like
We did not.
I I feel like after this episode airs, I'm not gonna get invited to no more Zooms on account of you, and I'm gonna get
Ah, God is still on the
I'm gonna
throne.
get kicked
God is still on the throne.
out of the Black woman win with Black women Facebook group, like that other lady that said she was supporting Trump because I'm over here with you, um, and that hurts me.
Well, I mean, Amber, I'm gonna throw it to you for the homework, and I hope the homework is give us some way of trying to figure out how we move forward. How do we survive? What do we do?
You know, I really think we need to sit with ourselves and ask ourselves why we have been led to believe that representation is the same thing as revolution. And I think we need to all sit with those thoughts and really prophetically imagine what a real revolution looks like and how we can bring it to pass. Because if you don't ever make your demands, we're going to be stuck in this cycle. And so I just feel like we really need to start thinking about it deeply and introspectively, individually and communally.
And y'all, I this is normally part of the show where I have some concluding thoughts. And I don't have none, but to say that representation ain't revolution, and that's that's my concluding thought. But thanks for tuning in to Brokish, and we'll catch you at the next episode.
All right, good people. Thanks for listening to Brokish. For more episodes, visit us at brokish.com or subscribe, and Brokish will get direct deposited into your favorite podcast app on the 1st and 15th. Share Brokish with your friends and join the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Music for Brokish is Come Get Some by Blank and Kit. Until next time, goodbye and good luck.
They say when you wear Black Power Media gear, you can accomplish anything. You can play any and every position. Coaching, to kicking, to receiving, to running and juking. And, oh my goodness, I see that again in slow motion. Get off me. And you're going to have a lot of haters coming at you, but what you got to do is you got to shake them off, and get to your goal and accomplish it. And when that's done, it's a beautiful thing. I'm talking about going hard, extra, for that extra point. And when it's done beautifully, you talking about touchdown. Oh, and the crowd goes wild and they're celebrating with you and everything. Man, let's see that again. Nice.
Black Power Media, baby. That's how we do it.
Now go to blackpowermedia.org and get you some of that gear. Empower yourself today. Yeah.